Today we are going to be talking about persuasive argument essay structure. In this presentation, we're going to review what an argument is and have some examples. We'll review what a persuasive argument is and have some examples, and then we'll look at the structure or anatomy of persuasive arguments. First of all, what's an argument? An argument is any time you have a claim and you support that claim with evidence. When you're thinking about they say, I say, that equates to the I say in that equation. A real-life example is this one. I think we should go to Feast for dinner because they have a nice bar where we can sit. If we don't mind waiting, we can sit outside, and the menu has a wide variety of tasty options. So you see here, the topic that we're writing about is where we should go for dinner, and the point that we're making is Feast. This is the option that we want to do. Okay, and then there are three key support. First, the bar. The next one is you can wait outside or sit outside, and the third is that there's a wide variety of tasty options. In an academic example, it might look something like this. I believe Fast Food Nation is boring because it's full of trivial facts, it's poorly written, and the narratives are predictable. Again, here we're talking about Fast Food Nation, the book, and the claim that we're making is that it's boring. And we're supporting that claim or that main argument with three reasons: that the book has trivial facts, it's written poorly, and the narratives are predictable. So then, what's a persuasive argument? What's the difference? Well, with a persuasive argument, you still have your claim or your main argument, and you support that claim with evidence, just like the regular argument, and that equates to the I say and they say, I say. But you also acknowledge and refute the people who might disagree with you. So that equates to the they say in that equation. So in a persuasive argument, you not only talk about yourself, but you have the opposition as well. You have your counter argument. In a real life example, that might equate to this here. Although Jake wants to go to Smoke Daddy for dinner, I think we should go to Feast because they have a nicer bar where we can sit. If we don't mind waiting, we can sit outside, and the menu has a wide variety of tasty options. You see here how we've mentioned that there's somebody else in this equation. We've mentioned that Jake is saying we should go to Smoke Daddy, but we're acknowledging him and then giving our own side of the issue. In an academic example, it might look something like this. Although some may argue that Fast Food Nation is a compelling book, I believe it's boring because it's full of trivial facts, it's poorly written, and the narratives are predictable. You see here, we're acknowledging right up front that there's some people that think this book, Fast Food Nation, is really compelling, very interesting, right? And that's kind of in direct opposition to what the writer of this thesis is saying. The writer of the thesis is saying the book is boring because of these reasons. And because of that, when you have that pull between one side and another, you suddenly move your argument from just being a regular argument to one that is persuasive. So the anatomy of persuasive arguments. So persuasive arguments are a little bit different than the 5-paragraph essay structure. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same. And for your assignment, I'm asking you to write this essay structure. It's a little more sophisticated, but it will build on things you already know. So the first paragraph of your essay will be a multi-part introduction. We'll look at that in a minute. Then you need a summary paragraph. Okay, your summary paragraph is the background information about your topic or your issue. We'll talk about that in a second. Then you'll have your first key support, your body paragraph that supports the first key support of your thesis. That'll be followed by your second thesis key support. Then you'll have a fifth body paragraph, and this is where you acknowledge your counter argument. Next, you'll have your third key support from your thesis, and finally, you'll have your conclusion. So, let's look at the introduction paragraph. You notice that it's got 3 layers. The first layer is your attention grabber. If you look at the attention grabber handout that I've given you in Blackboard or Dropbox, you will see a variety of attention grabber strategies that I would like you to use for your essays. After your attention grabber, in this introduction paragraph, you will acknowledge your counter-argument. This may be just as simple as adding a clause, like you saw in the thesis examples above, where we looked at the real life and academic examples, or this might be a couple of sentences. It depends on your own writing style and the content of your essay. And then the end of your introduction paragraph should end with a thesis. You may have heard before in other classes that you don't always have to end with a thesis, but I'm requiring that you end with an explicit multi-part thesis that clearly outlines your topic or issue, your claim, also called the main argument, and your 3 key support. You can look at the thesis template handout in Blackboard or Dropbox also for that. Okay, so your attention grabber must introduce the issue, and it should catch the reader's attention and transition well into the counter argument. I really want you to use one of the strategies for the attention grabber handout that's in Blackboard and Dropbox. Your intro's counter argument should acknowledge the direct opposition to the main claim or main argument that you are making in your essay. And then that should transition very easily and well to the thesis. Your thesis and your persuasive argument is going to be your blueprint for the entire essay. It should have a clear topic or issue, a clear main argument about the topic or issue, also known as your claim. It should outline 3 key support for that main argument or claim, and be located at as the last sentence of your introduction paragraph. And looking here, you can see some of the thesis templates that I've given you, some structures that you can use while you're learning to write this kind of thesis on your own. This is taken directly from the thesis template handout, so go ahead and look at that as well. Your second paragraph is going to be your summary paragraph. Your summary paragraph is going to look at the issue or topic that you're talking about in a very unbiased way. It should be an overview of the entire topic. It should show the different sides that are relevant to your essay fairly without taking a stance on them. It needs to give relevant information so your readers can understand what your main argument or claim is about. That's important because if you're using all kinds of keywords or key terms and concepts that have specific meanings, and your reader doesn't know what they mean, it'll be hard for them to follow your argument. So you want to make sure you give any important information that someone would need to understand where you're going in your essay. So that's where your summary paragraph should go and the important parts of it. After that, you're going to have a series, your first 2 main body paragraphs. These are the ones that will support your thesis. These are the key support that directly support your thesis. And the first body paragraph after that summary, if you were to rank your strongest to your weakest point, the first paragraph supporting your thesis should be your weakest point. And then they will increase in how strong they are as a point as you move further to the end of the essay. So right after that first key support, then you move into your second key support. This is the middle level of your points in terms of how strong they are. Then after that, you'll transition into your counter argument. This is when you're going to acknowledge your opposition. That's really important that you acknowledge them and that you explain their side or perspective on the issue. This shows that you are fair and unbiased, that you've looked at the issue very wholly and globally, and that your stance is the best one because you've seen both sides of the issue. Once you've explained their side or their perspective, you want to refute that. And you want to explain why their side of the issue is wrong without being rude or disrespectful. Then, the next paragraph after that will be paragraph number 6, and this will be your third key support. This is going to be the strongest point that you have in your essay. And then following that will be your conclusion paragraph. You please use a conclusion strategy from the conclusion and attention grabber strategy sheet that's in Blackboard and Dropbox. I will remind you and say this up front that you need to do more than just restate your thesis. You can't just restate your thesis. You need to do something more interesting and more rhetorically advanced than that. Okay, so here's our assessment. The questions for you are: what's the difference between regular arguments and persuasive arguments? Second question: what are the 3 layers required in the introduction to a persuasive argument? Third question: which paragraphs should have your weakest point of your key support? Question 4: which paragraph should have your strongest key support? Question 5: where does counter-argument go in a persuasive argument? Question 6: how many paragraphs should your persuasive argument have? Okay, so go ahead and write down your answers to this. If you want to pause this presentation right now and then write down your answers, and then once you unpause it, you will be able to check your answers against those that are listed. Here are the answers to the assessment. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at any time, and I will respond usually within 24 hours. Do know that there's also a handout about persuasive arguments, a map to help you keep an understanding of what each paragraph has, and you might want to go back and fill that in to give yourself an idea of what each paragraph is supposed to do and contain. That's it for now. Have a nice day, everyone.